Hello everybody, and welcome my constant reader friends. I'm Tad, and this is Tad Reads Books and Stuff. So we finally finished my March Madness Stephen King March reading month stuff. Anyways, mostly Stephen King this month. Finally finished everything for this month. So what are we doing? I'm just going to do some bookkeeping real quick. I'll explain everything that I went through. Then I'm going to do a TBR for April. And after that, we're going to discuss Danse Macabre, which is one of the books that I finished. I did listen to this. This is my copy that I have that somehow I lost the dust cover jacket somewhere along the way, but we finished that. We're going to discuss this. I did finish the trilogy. Pretty cool. This is Gwendy's Button Box, of course. We finished that. We finished Gwendy's Magic Feather, of course, and we finished Gwendy's Final Task. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to do the discussion for this trilogy in another video. This video would just be too long if I did everything that I want to discuss right now about my Stephen King month. So we're going to discuss that in another video. Also, I finished the first series of the Marvel Stephen King's The Dark Tower. Of course, we read the first one, The Gunslinger Born. The second compilation is The Long Road Home. Third is Treachery. Then there was a one-shot called Sorcerer, which I searched and found. But I didn't do my proper research, because if I would have known that in the Fall of Gilead, the Sorcerer is added to this. So I didn't need to buy it. It was in here. Finished that. And then, of course, the last one in the first series is Battle of Jericho Hill. We're going to discuss all of these in another video. So, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm going to have to do 3 different videos for my Stephen King month. So we'll set those aside. Those go over there. So let's get to, real quick, my TBR for April. What are we doing in April? So first, I'm going to be reading out of here, Flow My Tears, The Policeman Said. What I'm doing is, I don't know if you all follow Moyd and his Death Cult Media booktube channel. Moyd's great. He's funny as hell. He did this video where he had a bag of dicks, or dick bag bingo, he called it. He took Philip K. Dick novels and he numbered them all, then put the numbers, so each number represented a different novel, of course, put them in a bag and drew them out and got an order of the books, and he's slowly going through and reading all Philip K. Dick's books. I love Philip K. Dick, so I decided to follow along with him. This one, Flow My Tears, A Policeman Said, is number 3 on his list. So I'm going to be reading that this month to stay along with him. That's number 1 that I'm going to read. Then, of course, because I said I was going to, because I got this book for Christmas, and because Stephen King in Danse Macabre tells me I have to read this book, it's The Haunting of Hill House, of course, by Shirley Jackson. I got this really nice version of it. Can't wait to read this. I love the TV series. I haven't read it yet. Bash me in the comments. I haven't read it yet. Then I'm going to read When the Sky Fell Upon Splendor. I don't know if you saw my last book haul. I grabbed this at like an outlet store, very cheap. I just liked the cover. Kind of reminded me of Stranger Things or Close Encounters or something like that. I have no idea what's going to happen in this book. I haven't read anything about it. We're going to read this, get this taken care of. This is by Emily Henry. So let's see how this goes. What I'm going to be listening to is, of course, To Green Angel Tower. Now, Mike on Mike's Reviews, BookTube, he's been going through this trilogy. Well, they kind of turned this book into 2 books because it's so big. But anyways, he's finishing up with this book also this month. I had already started reading this again. This is like my 3rd or 4th time through this series. One of my all-time favorite authors, Ted Williams. I'm really reading these to get, because he's got, you know, a new trilogy coming out, or 2 of the 3 books have come out so far. Maybe there's going to be 4, who knows? But I really wanted to get back into the world, Asenard, and to prepare myself to read those novels. So we're going to be listening to this month. It's huge. It's going to take probably most of the month for me to listen to this, but I can't wait to do that. It's been a couple of years. And what else am I going to do? Well, if y'all don't know, you probably don't, I do have a second YouTube channel, and it is called Board Games, War Games, and Miniatures. I love playing and collecting board games and war games since the 70s, and recently I got a Kickstarter. Oh, and this Kickstarter is Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, the game. I just got this earlier this month. On that channel, I have done a review of this and a playthrough. It has miniatures to paint. I'm painting the miniatures, but because I got that game, I'm going to be going back and reading The Dark Knight Returns, Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, the graphic novel. If I get through this, maybe I'll pick up another graphic novel. I'll let you know along the month. But I haven't read this in years, so I'm gonna read this again for my graphic novel. All right, so let's hurry up. Let's get this taken care of. I'm going to quickly go through Danse Macabre. Now, Danse Macabre is a novel that Stephen King wrote. This was published in 1981. My version has 400 pages. I did listen to it though, and the audio book that I listened to had been updated, so there was a preface with some other more information that he, you know, added to the book, which is cool. But pretty much this book covers from the 1950s through the 1980s. It covers all types of genre horror. So you have movies, TV, audio. We have radio. He goes over quite quickly in this novel. It's fun because of all the nostalgia that it brought back, especially the radio shows and things like that. It's really cool because in the back he has some cool appendix here that have films that are some of his favorite films from the 1950s through 1980s. And he also has an appendix for books written during that time frame that he thinks, you know, really are important to the genre of horror and some of his favorites. My favorite part about this novel really was, like I said, the nostalgia of it, reminding me of things that I'd watched or listened to. But there's one portion in it towards the end, or really right at the end, where he suggests 10 horror novels that pretty much everyone should read if they're interested at all in horror. And I'll list through them real quick. He mentioned Ghost Story by Peter Straub, of course. I did find out that he and Peter Straub had plans to have Talisman and Black House, a trilogy, a third book. I did read where Peter Straub said that he doesn't think that's ever going to happen now, for whatever reasons. But I guess originally it was supposed to be a trilogy. Something to think about. The next book was The House Next Door by Anne Rivers Sidons or Sidons. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the last name wrong. I don't know this author. I have heard of The House Next Door. I just didn't know the author. So that's another book. The next one is, of course, where is it? Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. So I'm going to get that read this month. The next book he mentions is Rosemary's Baby by Ira Levin. I remember watching that movie when I was a kid, and I really wasn't supposed to be staying up and watching it, but I did. It scared the pants off me. That was a pretty scary book. I loved the way it was filmed. Now, I actually have an Ira Levin book. I have The Boys from Brazil. This one was one that I actually stole off my mother's bookshelf. And as I was thinking about this, I realized, you know what? My mother had all 10 of these books that he listed on her bookshelf. And I'm sure it's because of Danse Macabre. She probably did the same thing, went out and got these books. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get all these books, and eventually I'm going to read all these books. I'm going to try to read them this year. Don't hold me to it. May not happen. But I do have Boys from Brazil by Ira Levin. And while I'm listening to Danse Macabre, I'm always going to thrift stores and looking at books. What do I find? I walk in a thrift store and what do I find? The Son of Rosemary. So this is a sequel to Rosemary's Baby. And I found it for like $1 at a thrift store by Ira Levin. So now I've got these two. So I'm going to have to get Rosemary's Baby. I've already ordered it. I found a decent copy of it, of course, I think on eBay. So I ordered that. And I also ordered The Stepford Wives, which is another Ira Levin novel. So maybe I'm going to be having an Ira Levin month come up soon. Who knows? But I just thought it was amazing that I'm listening to it and I walk in a thrift store and there it is. Weird things happen like that. All right, the next book on his list is Body Snatchers by Jack Finney. Jack Finney, a great author. I haven't read The Body Snatchers. I don't have it, but I will be getting it. Next is Something Wicked This Way Comes, of course, by Ray Bradbury. I've read that novel several times, and I have a cool copy of it. So we'll have to probably be revisiting that. I think it's a great story. I love Ray Bradbury. I love the way he writes. Stephen King kind of slams him a little bit in Danse Macabre, saying he's too, I don't know, soft, too gentle, too poetry driven. He does write, his writing I think is very lyrical and I like it. Anyways, so that's that. Then he went on to The Shrinking Man by Richard Matheson. Now, I've heard of this. We've all probably seen movies of Amazing Shrinking Man, things like that. But I didn't know it was written by Richard Matheson, of course, who wrote I Am Legend. And I didn't realize that he had written What Dreams May Come. I read that book years ago, and I just don't, I don't see how the same writer writes all these different types of books. I don't know, What Dreams May Come just seemed a little bit different than I Am Legend, that's for sure. But anyways, I will be getting that book. I have read I Am Legend and What Dreams May Come. The Shrinking Man I haven't. We'll get that one. Next is The Doll Who Ate His Mother. Now that's a cool name. That's a cool name for a book. The Doll Who Ate His Mother. And that's by Ramsey Campbell. I have not read this novel. I'm definitely going to get it. I love Ramsey Campbell. He writes a lot of short stories. He is definitely in the H.P. Lovecraft vein. He writes a lot of the mythos stories and things like that. So I'm familiar with him and love those stories. So I think I'll be digging into this, The Doll Who Ate His Mother. And next is The Fog by James Herbert. Kind of a pulp writer back in the day. I'm kind of like Philip K. Dick, you know, just for a while there was just churning out these short novels real quick just to make a buck. But The Fog, I don't know anything about. I'm thinking that it probably is similar to The Mist by Stephen King. I don't know. We'll see. And then last but not least is Strange Wine by Harlan Ellison. I have read, most Harlan Ellison writing is short stories, and I have read several of Harlan Ellison's short stories. One of the things that, the reasons I like Harlan Ellison was he just helped out with storytelling and technical issues and filming and everything for J. Michael Straczynski's Babylon 5, which I've mentioned is my all-time favorite science fiction television show of all time, which is coming back. So that should be interesting. But Harlan Ellison was a big part of that TV series. So those are 10 novels suggested by Stephen King. Among others, there's over 100 in that appendix that he talked about mostly in the book. And that's really the big takeaway I had from Danse Macabre. It's a nonfiction novel. People have asked him, is he going to write another one similar? Let's say, you know, he went through the 80s. How about 90s to present or something like that? He said never say never, but it's not something on his list of things that he's been thinking about doing. But you never know with him. He's so prolific, he could write anything. All right, so that's what I've done for March, my plans for April, reading, and unfortunately this probably is already too long, this video, but I'm going to do a separate video for the Marvel comics for the Dark Tower, and I'm going to do another video for the Gwendy trilogy. All right, people, I hope you have a good day. Peace out.